Hello everyone and welcome to the NPTEL course on pharmacognosy and phytochemistry. We are learning something about a compounds called as tannins. In previous session, we studied compounds belonging to the hydrolyzable tannins. If you recollect it, we did few examples of hydrolyzable tannins which are nutgall, amla and pomegranate. In today's session, we will cover few more examples and those are myrobalans and quinone. Going ahead in the subsequent session, we will also deal with condensed tannins such as pale catechu and black catechu. So let's understand myrobalans. Myrobalans are set of roots which are depending upon their sources referred to as chebulic myrobalan, belleric myrobalan and embellic myrobalan. Of that, embellic myrobalan is your amla which you have studied previously. Now in today's session, we will deal with both chebulic as well as belleric myrobalan. Starting with the chebulic myrobalan, it is commonly referred in India as harda or harde, often referred to as haritakki or also referred to as your black myrobalan. It is also known as the ink fruit because of its ability to stain or to dye. Now this comes from the matured fruits of Terminalia chebula which belongs to the family Combretaceae. Now this plant Terminalia chebula is a deciduous tree which grows at a height of about 25 meters. It bears ellipsoidal leaves on to its apex. During the November to March season, it bears spikes and that is from where you get this hardy fruits. So this plant occurs throughout in North India, in Madhya Pradesh, in Maharashtra, Gujarat and going down you can see it occurring even in countries such as Myanmar as well as Sri Lanka. Now the fruits of this plants mature somewhere between November to March. That's when you start collecting it. The preferable time of collection is somewhere between January to April. So when you see the tree is laden with fruits, they are allowed to mature and on maturation the tree is shaken. Once all the fruits are fallen down, they are collected, dried in shade and then once they turn yellow to deep brown in color, they are used for market. Now these fruits depending upon their species or subspecies may have a slightly ellipsoidal or ovoidal shape and have ribs. So if you see your chebulic myrobalan, it bears somewhere between 2 to 6 ribs, of which the one which has 5 ribs is preferred for its tannin content. Now what do this contain? So if you go to see myrobalans, they are rich in hydrolyzable tannins, the monomer of which you can see here is a chebulic acid. Now if you see carefully, chebulic acid is actually very closely allied to ellagic acid. Let me show you how. So if you remember your ellagic acid, you had a 6-membered ring and then you had a lactonization here. So you get a very similar type of compound. This is almost a coumarin derivative, but what happens in this case, instead of your typical phenyl ring, you have a dicarboxylic acid and a third carboxylic acid which opens up from here. So chebulic acid is basically an ellagic acid derivative or hexahydroxy diphenolic acid derivative. Now this chebulic acid, if you attach it out here to a sugar which is in turn attached to few more gallic acid moieties, you get what is called as chebulinic acid. One occurrence of tannins from chebulic acid, one compound which is there is your chebulagic acid. Now this is also very similar, but what you see here is a monomer of chebulic acid 1 gallic acid and 1 moiety of hexahydroxy diphenylic acid. So this on hydrolysis will further give you your ellagic acid derivative. Apart from this, it also contains free tannins, that is free tannic acid, free gallic acid, ellagic acid, D-galloyl glucose and other free monomeric units. We often refer them to as pseudotannins. So this fruit is laden with tannins, and that is the reason it has a very strong astringent properties. Now apart from that, it contains a resinous compound referred to as myrobalanine, and the seed of this is rich in anthraquinone glycosides. Because of this anthraquinone glycosides, some of the laxative properties of your chebulic myrobalan are seen. So if you see the applications, owing to a huge amount of tannins that are present in this plant, you get a rich antioxidant activity. So this fruit has a ability to scavenge out free radicals, bring about anti-inflammatory properties, and therefore it is used in numerous conditions. Being a tannin, definitely it can help us with your infections. Being a tannins, it can definitely help us with ulcers and bleeding, and because of its antioxidant properties, it is known to protect our liver. We refer to as hepatoprotective. It gives anti-tumor activity, anti-atherogenic, anti-fibrotic, as well as in some cases it is found to possess anti-diabetic properties as well. Now myrobalan is a common component of a famous Ayurvedic preparation, Triphala Churna. We also discussed this in Amla. So this is the second fruit, that is your chebulic myrobalan, which is present in it. This is because of its antioxidant effect and also its anti-inflammatory effect. Not only that, it helps in numerous digestive disorders as well. Apart from it, myrobalan has traditionally been used in dyeing industry. So what is done is the mature fruits of these plants are taken, dried till they are crisp, and once they are dried, what you get is they are pulverized to get a fine powder. A hot decoction, that is this powder is then boiled with water, and once you get the extract out of it, this extract is tannin rich. Now if you recollect, tannins have a very nice ability to bind to proteins. So in fabrics, if you remember, proteinaceous fibers such as silk and wool, they are animal origin, they are protein components. So tannins bind to them very strongly to give intense coloration. So your myrobalan, especially harda, the aqueous extract of it is taken and your silk and wool are deeply dyed into it. In some cases, this dye is also used as a fixative or as a mordant for other coloring agents as well. Now turning to the next myrobalan, and that's your beheda. Beheda is very similar to your harda, but if you see the fruits, the ridges are comparatively missing, and if you see the shape, they are more ovoid or circular in nature as compared to your harda. So this is referred to as your Balearic myrobalan or Beheda, or often in some cases using vernacular names, it is also referred to as your Bibitak. Now this is also obtained from ripe fruits, but the plant is different. So it is obtained from Terminalia balearica belonging to the family Combretaceae. Now this shares the same family and same genus with your harda. So same family Combretaceae and same genus Terminalia. So what changes here is your species. In that case, it is Terminalia chebula. In this case, it is Terminalia balearica. Now this is also a plant which is found throughout India. If you see its occurrence, you will see it abundantly growing in Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Maharashtra, and again similarly down in Sri Lanka and Malaya region. Now the fruits of these plants mature somewhere during the rainy season till the end and are collected from November to February. The process and the treatment remains the same. That is, the trees are shaken to drop off all this drupe shaped fruits. These drupes are then collected and dried in a shade till they give you a very hard stony structure which can be pulverized easily to get your powders. Now these powders are also tannin rich, but their composition is relatively simple as compared to your Terminalia chebula. In this case, they contain simple compounds such as your gallic and ellagic acids, which are your pseudotannins or monomers of tannins. In addition to it, it contains phylembin. Now, phylembin is nothing but if you see carefully, it is ethyl ester of gallic acid, often referred to as your ethyl gallate, and in addition you will also have some amount of galloyl glucose occurring. So sugar esters and mostly hydrolyzable tannins make up your myrobalan, that is your Baheda. Now apart from that, if you see the inner stony seed, this is also containing oil, but the oil of this seed is considered to be non-edible. Apart from this, if you give incisions on this plants is also known to give you a good quality gum. But however, it's not commercialized as yet. Now coming to the applications, out of your Terminalia species, your Terminalia chebula poses more of a laxative effect, whereas if you see Beheda, that is Terminalia balearica, in Ayurveda and in Unani system of medicine, you will see that this is something known to address your cough condition. So people suffering from excessive mucus secretion, cough and cold, the powder or the decoction of this plant is given, often mixed with honey in Ayurveda in warm water, and given for the patients to consume. It is said that it has a good kapha balancing property. It is also reported to show rasayanam, that is an ability to enhance one's immunity as well as give you a good age or increase the longevity. This is the third fruit that goes in your Triphala churna. So we have covered all three. First one is amla, the second one is harada, and the third one is baheda. And it has numerous hydrolyzable tannins, it has a deep coloration, and as a result this is also used in dyeing and tanning industry. Now going on to the third drug, this is not a myrobalan, but this is something which is referred to as kino or Malabar kino. It is pterocarpus. Now this is a blood red juice which is obtained from making vertical incisions. So if you have a tree, it is called as a Pterocarpus marsupium tree. It's a Leguminosae family member, and you will see this tree growing throughout again in India, in Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Orissa, and also found in numerous forests such as Karnal. You will see it growing in Kerala, Assam and West Bengal regions. Now if on this tree you make an incisions, it gives out a reddish, like I said, a blood red color or typically bright red color juice. Now this juice is collected and is sought to be medicinal. Now this red juice, if you dry, it is referred to as kino red. This kino red is consumed as such for diabetic patients, or in some cases the wood is also taken. So what does it contain? This is also a good source of tannins. Now this contains chiefly what is called as quinotannic acid. Now again, if you see this carefully, you can conveniently break it into two halves. The one half of it has a structure of gallic acid. The second half resembles to, do you recollect? This is a ellagic acid structure. So quinotannic acid is a derivative of gallic plus ellagic acid. Now this is the monomer condense it with glucose molecules and convert it into a polymer, and that is what is collectively referred to as quinotannic acid. Apart from that, it also contains what is called as quino red. I just refer to it as a pigment. Quino red is actually a fluobaphene derivative which is obtained from quinoin, and quinoin is oxidation product of quinotannic acid, generally given by an oxidase enzyme. So quinotannic acid, you can say it's a glucosidal tannin, whereas quino red is a oxidative product generally formed by oxidase enzyme. As a result, this oxidase enzyme converts it into anhydride. It undergoes further conjugation, polymerization to give you an intense red coloration. Now, if you see your quinotannic acid as a polymer per se, it has much darker color than your quino red. So, all this polymeric tannin compounds give it a typical red brown coloration. Now, coming to the therapeutics of it, because of its high tannin content, it is a protein precipitant and it's used to treat diarrhea, dysentery as an antimicrobial agent. It is used as a styptic in your hemorrhages. So, whenever there's a minute bleeding happening, this tannins can precipitate the proteins, seal the wound and form a good cover. It is also used to treat infections of teeth and take care of your toothache. A good utility of this is seen in diabetic. Nowadays you will see a lot of khadi and gramodyog exhibitions. If you go across, you would see cups made up of wood where they recommend you drink hot water in it. Now these cups are generally made up of quino wood. They are available in market, and what you do is when you put hot water on it, they say your tannins get extracted. Earlier we had studied that tannins have the ability to dissolve and their solubility is further enhanced if you add hot water to it. So the moment you pour hot water into this cup, all the tannins from that wood, especially if you take the stem bark of it and especially the heartwood part of it, you will see more and more tannins in the rich fraction. Eventually your water will turn little off colored or dull colored, where the tannins from that would have entered in your solution. Once you drink it, that drink or that decoction is thought to be a very good anti-diabetic preparation. Apart from that, because of its color, it's used in dyeing, printing as well as in tanning industries. So here are a few examples. So today what we did was myrobalans as well as quinos. So if you want to read any further, you have a few textbooks on pharmacognosy for this, and thank you.